Hey everybody, Dom is back again with Unison Warrior Series 1 green card review. We've got a fancy new logo, new setup, not just streaming Discord. Today we have Dane once again,
Hi there.
and today our special guest, Grant,
Hello.
Hello.
another fellow Minnesota player. Um, yeah, so we're going to look at the green cards of set 10, as it says. Really fun because it's Ginyu has a new leader, and we get yet another color of the Ginyu Force, but also can't work together that well, but we'll see. And,
Oh, Bandai.
and another green Frieza Saga Goku leader.
Fikamahammaha is going nowhere.
That card's not even going to get played in the deck.
No.
Let's get into it. Let's get
Still,
into
it's
it.
not-
Oh yeah, so Grant, Dom, Dane.
Yo,
we're
what's up?
your lovely hosts.
Look how cute we are. Oh,
Kawaii, even. Especially
whoa.
Dane.
Oh yeah,
Dude,
love the
I'm so-
Zamasu.
I'll never forget that. And then
Alright.
that dude, Shenron Gogeta, tend himself to death.
Oh, just don't call him out. So first
Alright.
up, we're gonna look at the starter deck that's also revealed because that comes out first, June 5th. Still don't know if the set 10 cards. I'm 100% don't know if the set 10 cards that come out in the starter deck are legal as well, because they still have the July 17th date on the website. But it would just make sense.
I mean, I don't think it particularly matters just because I would be shocked if there's any organized play by then.
That's fair.
Certainly through May, maybe some more conservative states will kind of open up. But
Bandai does have that disclaimer on their site. They said up till June 1st, but of course that is still up in the air.
yeah,
In our
I mean,
current situation.
regardless, what matters is like the first big event, and I think there's one regionals still scheduled for August that is still not canceled.
Man, we memed about some of our friends that didn't get their invite at that not being able to get it until an LCQ, and look what happened.
Okay, but
that's
on
me.
the bright side, secondary market for the championship cards and for specifically for our winners for getting in the top of teams. Yo,
Right.
yo,
Yeah. With those alt art denials and King
dude,
Vegeta and
alt art denial is like $120 easy.
it's crazy. Anyway,
So
Unison Warrior.
Unison Warrior. We got this Frieza leader for the Clan Collusion starter deck. So the only thing, like, I thought it was cool that we got a green Frieza leader, and there's like a little bit of hand control kind of going on here. But it says, like, it's nice flavor. Can include staying cards in your deck, but like that removes the best part of playing green, which is playing Paragus Super Combo. That's like the only reason you play green.
I mean, kind of, yeah.
You're not wrong. I mean, like that super combo survived the onslaught of multicolor super combos, and God, just drawing before filtering your hand is so nice that it can just beat any like potential arrival shenanigans for.
Mm-hmm. It limits some other cards that like you would actually think shouldn't really matter, but then as soon as you think about it, will. This leader is basically saying you will play mono. Maybe you can splash green, but it doesn't matter because you lose Vegeta the Cruel, which super sucks, and then you will you give up access to the entire like the Broly VR line that could have been with the Paragus and whatnot that have seen cheeky things if you've paid attention to the Facebook group at all. But you also lose Nappa, which is really interesting that you're going to lose one of the super combos that you could have had for multicolors, and you just lose the entire access to red like that.
Yeah.
No, the first thought I had was that this was relatively comparable to Set 1 Frieza League, where, you kill one of your own battle cards for some sort of benefit. So you kind of want to go for efficiency. Like Lemon Lime stuff, pretty close, could somewhat work with this deck. Maybe not as efficiently. But like Chilai Lemo engine would work in lieu of that Paragus Broly BR stuff. And it just seems still more efficient than some of these new cards as well. But
Like I think that is what they're kind of going for. If you look at the official website, they have the whole card list of what's in the starter deck, and they do have Frieza's Call, Cold Bloodlust because you are a Frieza army leader. They also have the one drop Frieza from set one that grabs the Frieza army top of your deck,
2 or less.
2 or less, which is a lot of them now, especially Ginyu Force. I can see later on when we get the Ginyu, green yellow Ginyu running that maybe.
Mm-hmm. It's just I don't know if I think so. The Saiyan is super like definitely something that holds the deck back. But honestly, a lot of the cards that are intended to operate within it, I think, are just kind of really weak. The leader itself, like the front side, is more value upon rereading than initially thought. Self awaken, grab a card, and then your opponent kills a card. The issue is that if you're not killing like Ginyu or something that is very much meant to be killed, you kind of just lose the card anyway. So what's the point? Um, Dodoria would be a solid turn one play, either the starter exclusive one or the new Self Awakener one, but it really doesn't seem to be something that you would actually want to actively do.
Right. I think if you're still going lemon lime, I still think the set one Frieza is a bit better because of the untapping and drawing over
Mhm.
yeah,
the slight discarding.
where this deck kind of has like, I get that like Broly BR leader, not BR, well it is BR, but the yellow one was
Yeah.
kind of the staple strong generic leader. Now they're kind of like reprinting stuff with similar effects, but with like more limitations where it's not just strictly like take a life and draw a card. Now that power kind of got shifted to your opponent chooses one to get rid of instead of you drawing a card and you can take a life.
A -1 rather than +1.
Exactly, yeah. Which I'm yet to be convinced is strong enough in this game. I just feel that having more cards is just better than your opponent having less than you when you're both kind of low.
Raditz.
Yeah.
I think this leader is just pretty mediocre. On the back, it could be cool, but again, you have to so continually kill your own cards, which costs energy to play, and then space on your board and being vulnerable. I just don't see it as being super playable, but we should probably get into the rest of the deck because we have so much to go over today.
Yep. So Frieza Xeno Darkness Overflowing, the Unison card that comes with it. I noticed with the starter decks, with the Vegeta one before this one, that your Unison card seems to be your boss card of the deck. Like this is your win condition.
Mm-hmm. Which anyone who is subscribed to the 3xG Patreon probably got to hear Pat O'Neill's rant earlier today, and he talked about it very similarly to how Planeswalkers run, is that if you don't deal with them quickly, they can snowball, but on their own, they are fine. But if you do not deal, things will get out of hand, and you won't be able to answer them. Um,
Yeah.
this Frieza has a built-in mechanic to let that not be the case by critting a life instead of removing a marker. I just don't see how that is going to be worth it. If it was adding a card from your life to your hand, absolutely. Easy pick. But critting a life is so much harsher. And then its other effects, particularly the +1, is really weak in my opinion. It's a cycle, but it's not even the draw cycle.
Yeah, you have
Discard,
to
then draw.
discard it first. Not the
Um,
greatest.
and then the other one is actually quite good, especially because it's only a -1. Killing a 4 or less and then removing a marker from a Unison. he alone could do 2 damage to a Unison card without ever interacting, which is pretty darn good.
And this is like some of the hardest Unison interaction revealed yet. There's nothing that hard removes Unison, really, other...
That extra card from blue.
Yeah, but that's about it.
Yeah, that's
though. Because, I mean, in Magic, nearly infinite amount of ways to deal with a Planeswalker, like exile or destroy non-land permanents. Where this is, it seems to be like one marker at a time, if that. And considering that on turn 2, most of them tend to get a +1, even a +2 on the turn they come down. That's a lot of markers to have to deal with. And it seems, unless you're committing like an entire turn or two towards them, that they're really difficult to actually get rid of. Which is kind of why I think that this set, while I think it'll make some more interesting decisions for aggro, where they'll need to weigh like how good the Unison is that they're up against, and whether it's worth to invest their precious swings in those, or if they just continually try to just kill you as fast as possible.
Which I appreciate. A lot of people have said that we've had a couple different baby decks in the game, mostly people called Helmet Janemba. But in my opinion, some of these aggro decks are considerably more Helmet, if you want to say that. Right? Some of them are realistically, when it especially comes to say like actual Boo, Boo and Bibbidi, some forms of Demigra are just so play this card, turn it to the right, start at the low numbers, go to the high numbers, and that's it. Which is really a shame because aggro can be super fun and interesting when it's complex, but it can't always be that way just because of the nature of aggro. So
Yeah, I think
pretty mediocre, to be honest.
the crit.
Yeah, you can give it.
Oh, with the leader.
It just I don't foresee this Unison actually seeing very much play, particularly because Bardock and even the other Frieza are just both considerably stronger.
Yeah.
But we can check those out here in just a moment.
Yeah, I think next we have the other starter
exclusives.
card exclusives. Yep, and they seem to just fit it like specifically to this leader, Frieza leader. Whereas the Vegeta starter deck, sorry. See, those are very more generic towards just blue. Like that Vegeta that gains crit if your leader's a blue Saiyan. Where these guys, they need a green Frieza leader for these effects, which is sucks for the Ginyu especially. Because that would have been
Yeah.
pretty nice for the Ginyu deck.
So I mean, these are going to be the cards that if you absolutely feel the need to play this leader, Dodoria is basically an instant include because it just gets recurred, and not having that -1 is super important.
I think the Doria's pretty solid for the deck if you run like Frieza's Healing Pod too.
Yeah, Dodoria kind of like... Oh, that's an interesting point about Healing Pod, but Dodoria kind of fills the spot that We're in This Together fills in Invoker, where you kind of use it for either the +5 or whatever effect you want to use to cycle and see more, and then just pay 1 to get it back and do it again and again. I don't necessarily think like his effect is as powerful, but the fact that it's consistent when it's seen is really nice. That's kind of the hard part, is that with deck size getting expanded optionally, how consistent can these nice little benefits actually be? Because a lot of the game plan on these new things kind of really do rely on the Unison cards, and when you just don't see it in Brick, it seems like it would be easy to fall into the trap of having a deck around those cards and the effects of those cards, and when you just don't see it, it'd be easy to fall into the trap of not having a strong enough secondary game plan.
Absolutely. In testing, I felt that way with Goku Black. If you didn't see Zeno, you just kind of fold. Like, there's just nothing you can possibly do to keep up, especially as we get more monocolor with these Unisons, and decks are experimenting with going back that way. you really just cannot keep up with a deck that has so many more options than you if you aren't playing your absolute best game plan.
Yeah,
So
you need that Unison card or bust. Even with the searching tutoring cards like Zarbon here, like he looks at top 5, add 1 green Unison card with the cost of 2 or 1, because there is a Demigra that has a 1. Oh no,
no, no,
or
no,
1 green Frieza
it's two,
army. My
yeah.
bad.
So because Zarbon basically that I think that's the reason that they make all of them searchable off of that, not giving them keywords. Because realistically, if the deck is based on unisons in general, then you'll be more fine because you can run 8 unison cards or so, right? To double your chance, just run 2 playsets of a specific one. Which I think if you actually wanted to play this archetype, given that your leader can give something crit, I think you'd want to play Bardock. So that way you can get the -4 and you'd want to control your opponent's hand a little better. But these are all just simple things, and I think it's worth having. So let's move on to the actual set here, or I guess the unison cards are next.
Yeah, Unison cards from the set. So yeah, this is showing some of the super rares also, because each color gets 2 super rares.
Hmm.
Um, I think one to note real quick is Demigra is a 1 cost Unison, like at minimum, and he
Hmm.
has that built-in protection where he adds a card from life to hand.
When he gets hit, which is super solid.
That
Especially because I think his minus effect is one of the best we have on a unison card.
Yeah, and something I really appreciate is that all of these KO a card. Well, not the Frieza, but the wording of KOing is so much more preferable, in my opinion, to just subtracting the power of everything, like we saw so much of in previous sets. Just uh,
Red flags.
I want to play Gogeta ramp. Damn it, just kill it. Ignore barrier, sure, but kill my Beku, please.
Hmm.
Right.
Oh, I think specifically Demigra, there's I think they printed it to be generic for now. They have an idea for later, and I think we just kind of need to wait. Um, Bardock, man, this card is good. This unison is so good. You can just control so much, like getting rid of combo cards in green, which is already a hand control deck, and then making your opponent drop cards while gaining markers is really high value.
Yep, and he has the I feel like this is really good pick into the Frieza leader as well, and you'll see with the Goku leader, just
Mm,
popping your 1 drops that you get to play.
so
K
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And even just like the little cantrips, like whether it's the cycle draw guys or the uh I mean with a different leader, the new super combo, or just even like the little take your own life double strike crit guys. Like once you're
Yep,
done taking your own life, you can pop it for like an
more
awesome effect
value.
instead of just leaving it to die from a leader swing.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and I do like the idea of giving this crit with the Frieza leader, like you said, because notice he is a Saiyan. We know that, but he's not a Saiyan card, so you can play this Bardock in that deck.
Which I think would be very powerful. It's probably one of those things where you probably run both.
Yep.
Just given that the Dodoria goes so well with the Zeno Frieza Unison, and then Bardock is such a strong, like seriously such a strong finisher. Going, all right, 20k triple attack crit.
Even with the you can run it with Ginyu from the set, also from not the set, from the starter, gives it another 10k to your Unison card. So you'd be 25, 30k triple attack crit.
And
Bet
as great no, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
that pops 1 combo card, and we already know that's really strong from the red green Broly engine.
And hey, triple attack is even more useful because it gets around Nimbus on Unison cards,
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's true.
which is why they made a new, better, well, not better, but a different Nimbus this set, but we'll get to that as well.
Uh, we can just touch on the Golden Frieza before we get into the actual archetypes. Um, I think this. So Dom mentioned earlier the taxing um, effects, or rather during a previous discussion. we love the idea that you can add attacks to something, and the Frieza, Golden Frieza Unison of Malice is one of the first that really has that. The first effect is still very good because you can just cycle out in Goku, you can cycle out which cards you want to burst. In Ginyu, you can choose what to put on top of your deck for your leader reveal, and then obviously gaining crit and just cycle. But I think that second effect is really strong. Basically, they just need to kill stuff if they want to attack at all. So,
Yeah, I think
li-
all these Unison cards I think are just very solid.
Mhm.
On to the first leader.
Oh, real quick.
Oh yes.
Time magic keeps getting worse as well because it doesn't hit these either
Oh,
for
Yeah.
keeping them down.
true.
Anyway, go ahead.
All right. Another green Goku leader that turns Super Saiyan.
That also puts 3
Bursts.
cards in the drop area per turn.
Yep, another burst leader. But this one, yeah, this one, I think this is gonna be our first like guaranteed 60 card deck.
hmm
You burst 3 on both sides. It doesn't have to be 60, but I think you want to
I think you should.
because you don't want to. Yeah, you don't want to give up the draw. Burst does become optional because it is a burst effect. Those are always optional. But why would you give up drawing?
Oh,
Um, so he also has an auto awaken, just like Vegito starter deck, which is awesome because paired that with Bardock, he KOs one of your own cards, and when one of your cards KO'd, you just get to flip over.
And I think that this is an interesting solution to the concern a lot of us had about surge leaders just becoming so much better if they didn't, and staying better if they didn't make more. Now these kind of like conditional awakens kind of help keep pace with those, where you can kind of do it on your own time, and usually the backside effect is worth it doing it early. So I enjoy that approach that's being taken this time around.
Yeah, we all hate it when you go against Surge Piccolo and he just sits there, doesn't swing, and you're not drawing your self awakeners, and it's just too late. Um, but yeah, with this leader, I think it's pretty solid because since they awaken so early, his activate main battle is not as heavy as a cost either,
hmm
and he just blows up the whole board, which
I
is
was lagging.
awesome.
I was lagging all over the place, so I didn't hear too much of what you said. But if you probably talked about the ability to play the 1-drops and then just KO them to awaken immediately.
Yeah, with Bardock. Yep.
Lit. Um, just like Vegito, you can play like the Dodoria and the Gohan, swing and apply really good pressure to your opponent, and then your opponent has to make the choice of awakening you instantly or uh, just like not killing your dude. So I think that's really high value. Um, we've seen the Krillin 1-drop that gains blocker and the Gohan that are blockers. I think
Cybermen are kind of
it's
good now.
maybe, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's really worthwhile talking about this leader versus Clash Coup and what each leader brings to the table. So Clash Coup immediately you cycle more. So you drop a card and then you draw 2, which I think is super important because you're still bursting 3. But the fact is that you are still locked to the four life awaken or flip over, if you will. Um, and you also don't have burst on the backside, meaning that if you wanted to continue to fill your drop area for the other Goku's effect, for the actual archetype, or if you wanted to do Kaioken in a red-green build, you're not going to keep filling your drop area. You're going to do it for 2 to 3 turns, have 9 to 12 cards in drop, and then you're just kind of done. And you stop filling from there. And I think that's really not quite what you need
Right.
to be at.
Especially when there's sparking effects that you're waiting on, such as just the leader having double strike or whatever else you may be doing.
Krillin,
That Krillin, yeah. So I think that it was really smart how these two have very similar but different goals in that
Mhm.
they want a Krillin dead, probably, to summon an angry Goku, but they come out in different ways. Because in this one, you're kind of proactively setting this up for the new cards, whereas the old Clash Q, your opponent had to consciously kill the Krillin themselves. You're not able to do it yourself. And I don't know which I prefer, which is stronger, because they both have hard removal effects. They both have decent boss monsters that are somewhat worth playing. But with this card, you get a board wipe ignoring barrier rather than spot removal ignoring barrier. And this taking 2 life sounds harsh, but you can conditionally awaken at 8 and not have to take life, as like some of the other conditional awakenings do take life.
So I'm a big fan of this leader. I have already made a green yellow list. I think that this
We have a
engine
list of lists that we could do with this. We
exactly right.
have
I think
green yellow, mono green, red green Kaioken.
blue green because the entire engine can ramp with 16 because no one's 30k.
Yep.
And then on top of that, because you're a green leader, you get access to hidden potential. Um, I think this leader is very versatile. I think he's generically quite strong. And he also, notably, all those multicolors, you can still have your turn 1 play to like high leverage with Gohan and Doria because you can actually use the angel energies.
What is the best part?
This is like the only deck that I would feel comfortable including the angel energies in because every other deck doesn't fill the drop area fast enough to where those cards make a difference. But for this, if you went at all, you can swing, burst 3, and that next turn you probably have the energy for an angel energy, so you can spend turn 1 not tapped out.
For those who don't know, Minnesota, we have fun nicknames for our energy buddies, or as you guys would
Check
all say,
lands.
check lands, but we're Dragon Ball. We have energy buddies, and then we call the draft box 5 the cycle of remove a like color and a color, play this card untapped or
Energy
inactive.
untapped, yeah.
We call those angel energies or god energies. And yeah, finally we get to use them. I think they're just good. And then finally we
Yeah.
got something that can abuse it.
And you can do that instead of those buddy energies as well, which is somewhat nice. But because I mean, how much space do you want to leave for the angel energies and the buddies or checklands?
So that's the thing though, is that you burst 3 every turn, and so you don't need buddy energies at all. And most of the archetypes for this are only going to require 1 or 2. So realistically, if you have no 1-drop in your opening hand, you can hard charge a multicolor, like if you're in a slow matchup or whatever. But if you can't, you can charge a green, play your 1-drop for your leader's skills, and then turn 2 you'll have burst 3, and then you can do your angel energy to still have 2 green for Bardock, or blue green if you're ramping for 16, doing whatever it is you have to do. The fact is that you get to not tap out turn 1 and still play a multicolor turn 2, which is so strong.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
turn 2 you mean? Because he still got a burst.
Yeah. So like if you go second, you're guaranteed you can do it turn 2. If you went first, you might have to wait until turn 3.
Yeah.
All this monocolor support makes me scared of Violent Predator once again. Blue
We'll see.
green ramp.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
we'll see.
we'll see.
8's still a lot.
All right, so into the archetype, or how the deck how it wants to build. All the commons and uncommons, they're all 1-drops, which is
Yep.
awesome for Bardock.
These are maybe some of the simplest cards we've ever seen, which I really appreciate. Bulma is a generic tutor for Green Saiyan 3 or less, or a Unison card. Piccolo is effectively, he's just a cantrip or a single big swing. Gohan is super good. Having blocker off the bat, being able to be free played, and then being Sun Gohan Youth for the later effect is very powerful. And then Vegeta, I think this Vegeta has the potential to replace Nappa in a Raditz deck because it is still a searchable super combo that still controls hand.
Yeah, this is like the one super combo you almost want to play, which is great.
Um,
It's a 1-drop.
like, and
It's
it's
like,
a
sorry.
card has to be card has to be really good to replace Paragus for a super combo.
True. You always gotta think about that, unless you're Frieza.
Hmm.
Right.
um,
If you're Frieza, you just don't get either of the best ones.
I do like they don't have it abusable with the Vegeta, that you can only play this card for you can't play this card with skills from any area. Being a one
Hasty,
drop.
Hasty Dispo plus this card would be nuts.
Yes. Holy crap. You just lose your hand so fast.
So these
So
are all pretty generic. I don't think we need to talk on them too long.
no, they're just a name. Same with Krillin, who somehow is a rare. It's probably the saddest rare I've seen.
It's
Uh,
I don't think he's that great.
no. They gave him the Clash Coup final showdown effect where he becomes a 4-drop, but because his auto only goes off when he's played rather than an active main, he is only a blocker for the one turn. So if your opponent chooses not to attack you, or they do have the answer that turn, they could just not kill Krillin. Is only a 4K, so he's super susceptible to red and just minusing him.
Which is
Black,
not a KO, which sucks.
yep. Black can send a warp. I'm sure there's a million answers to it, right? Uh,
but
it
see, it's not as detrimental to this engine compared to the Clash Coup engine that
absolutely.
it's only for the one turn, because you just want it in the drop. You don't care how it gets there. You just want it in the drop for that 4-drop. So you can, send it to warp, which is kind of difficult for recursion in making this happen more than once. But even with Clash Q, it wasn't really happening more than once that you'd be able to summon Final Showdown. So yeah, it's kind of a defensive strategy, buying time for the turn until you can play this 4-drop. And once you can deflect and barrier, this card is not going away. You are going to be able to play the 5-drop once you are ready to.
Yeah, once you have.
If you do it on your turn.
Yes.
I think this card's awesome because he has the and or. Because Dane, I remember Dane day one saw this card.
Oh man.
He's like, oh, it's gonna be so hard. You gotta fit all these Gokus and Bulmas
Right,
and
like
Gohans.
the red Gohan engine from Assault of Saiyans, right?
No,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
So
mean, we
I
still
thought this
run
was
that
gonna
Gohan,
be
but there's like no Bulmas. There's like 2 green Bulmas. Like you have to think about running that super combo from Clash. Only
Yeah, or
Vegeta.
just the Cantrip from the slide before.
Vegetas are super sparse because there's Vegeta the Cruel, which is great, but it's only really great in a multicolor deck. But
God, that card is getting worse and worse every set as well.
It used
With
to be
all
the best
these,
card of set 7.
right? I know. It was like the most expensive rare to exist in the game for a while.
So I think this card is going to be super good. I really like that it's activate main battle for 2 main reasons. One is means that if you know your opponent can't remove it, then you can wait until your opponent's turn and you can just board wipe when they start swinging into you rather than board wiping on your turn.
Yeah, you could. I feel like you can safely tap out on 4 with that.
Mhm.
Depends on the matchup, but
well, especially with the super rare that we'll talk about later, for sure.
yes, that.
And your leader skill.
Yep.
So you'll be fine. I think what's also really important is the fact that it's an activate main battle that's an up to. So if your opponent wants to Cold Bloodlust or, more importantly, Frost Deadly Poison, which is a really rampant card right now, the card that's going to come in play, you go, okay. And then you just choose none, and then you do it again. Because your leader is bursting so much, there's a good chance you'll fit 10 in there by turn 4.
Yep. I didn't even think about that actually. Yep. You get to
It's
use the
super,
union,
super
the
important.
abuse the union mechanic. Choose up to, and it's not
Now,
once per turn.
if you burst your pieces though, then where do you go from?
That is admittedly hard, but I think that's why you're gonna run 4 of this Goku, 4 of this 5-drop Goku. And then what we talked about is that in set 7, for the Raditz area, they actually printed a 1-drop Gohan Momentary Weakness that searches top 7 for Green Sun Goku. That card is a name Gohan Youth that searches for your main piece and is a 1-drop green card for Bardock to kill.
Oh yeah. No, that's auto include.
The Chef's Kiss. I have 6 of that card foil for some reason.
The
I
boy.
just kept pulling it. So I really appreciate that card. I think it's actually going to see quite a bit of like if this archetype continues to take off,
Yeah.
it'll see play. Um, I'm very glad because there are good Gohans, there are good Krillins, and Piccolo over time. If we decide that we wanted to do like Cunning Strategist into assimilated ability, there is a lot of board control in this deck, but that card is an advantage monster. So, right
Okay, I'm still
there are
iffy on that
options.
part.
And speaking of
Uh,
advantage, no, go ahead, keep going.
I was gonna say that I thought Cunning Strategist could play Goku, but it can't because it's not a U7.
No.
Um, it's just a good card. I am excited to play around with it. This is one of my most. I think this will be really cool to
Th-
screw around with.
I
And
like. I'm sorry. You go, Grant.
I was just gonna say that personally, I would always go straight into the 5-drop because of that first auto. Uh, it's yeah, what energy costs 4 into this card. When your opponent plays a battle card, energy costs 5 or less. 2 cards in their hand to discard them. It's not once per turn. It's just auto when they play a card 5 or less. Which,
Mhm.
granted, a lot of Arrival is out of range of that, but the only reason really not to is if you're against Invoker and you think that they have Condemnation in hand, or know that they do, or that's all I can really think of. Maybe Beerus Arrival could kill it if you wanted to swing with it. Um,
Is Beerus
uh,
a 6-drop? I thought he was 5.
no, he is, but he can kill him when he swings to put him in rest mode for that first auto.
But it can't. Permanent discard can't be moved from battle areas by skills.
Oh, okay, never
Yeah,
mind then.
this
No,
guy is this guy's a house.
yeah, okay, that's a lot.
He
So
is staying if he is not blanked by Topo or
Minus.
minus 25 by some crazy red combination.
right. I
Yeah,
mean, Cold Bloodlust, but
yeah. That's
that's
only
only for that
only.
turn.
Oh no, it doesn't matter. We just talked about that.
Yeah,
No, it's
Goku
only for
is
that turn though. It's when they play. So once it's their turn again, it would be
well.
active.
It doesn't matter though because with Goku it's an active main. So you just shuffle in 5, choose none,
oh warp,
and
warp
then
5.
shuffle 5 in again or
Yeah,
warp 5,
right. Asking
and
for
then
window 1 and then strategically lying to your opponent.
No, you just choose
exactly
0.
you just bait.
It's not lying. Just choose 0.
It's choose up to.
Yeah,
It doesn't say choose.
I choose 0.
So
Goku's.
yeah.
But I forgot about the thing you pointed out, Grant. The tax. I love tax effects in
Oh,
this game. Like Topo, Righteous Aid, and
Right.
like this guy, like
Foo, 8-drop Foo.
A-Drop Fu, like things that make your opponent have to think more and like abuse the fact that they have a lot of advantage and you can just make them pay for it. Like I think that's a smart way to handle this game in general for balancing stuff or like hurting your opponent's plays instead of straight up being like negate or minus Killy Zone, you can't play a counterplay. Or
Mhm.
I think there's also that black battle card in Draft Box 5 that taxes counterplay cards, right?
Yep, Koitsuki.
Yep. Like
Your opponent plays cards on your turn, 20k or more.
East Kai keeping watch, like
Hey, funny you mentioned the Koisuke. There's a similar extra card that we're going to talk about.
oh yeah, are we ready to go on?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, so Ginyu, the other leader, uh,
Uh,
biggest disappointment
uh,
in the set, I think.
Bandai, why do you hate Ginyu so much? Like, okay, this is easily the best Ginyu leader, and it's not
100%.
close. Like, the set 2 Ginyu had its cute little niche because back in the day there was no self-awakening, and there's that weird Parunga list or whatever with Ginyu. But this is like the best actual leader that we've gotten.
Yeah, he just plays a Ginyu and draws a card. Even if you don't
If
And
find a Ginyu, you still draw your card, so you don't lose any
mhm.
advantage. And he has 2 awaken conditions, 4 or
Oh,
less
that second
life,
one,
or have
super
4
good.
or more Ginyu cards in play. Like, it's a Ginyu deck. You're gonna have
yeah, it's
4 on
doable.
turn 1.
Right.
On turn 2, you can actually play them all if you
All just the green ones, right?
well. So yeah, so if you hit with your leader on turn 1, you flip over a green and you either do Raccoon. Well, actually, you probably don't want to hit Raccoon. You want to hit basically anything. and like a Jace, like a yellow Jace would be great off of this. Or if you turn one Freeze's Call into yellow Jace and keep playing these cards, Jace and Raccoon, yellow Jace, green Raccoon both play more Ginyus for free,
So
and they're
good.
both targets for Freeze's Call. It's very powerful.
Yeah,
um,
I like how low to the ground this deck is. Like there's no I still wish there was like a big boss Ginyu like as Goku or something like as a card. That's just like
mhm,
the boss.
like a 6 drop or something that just was like double strike, because there's just literally no double strike. There's no crit. There's no
Right.
triple
There's the
attack.
super
There's
rare from set 1, 2, set
one.
1. That
It's because they're equals, Dane. They're a force.
you're right.
They're a force. That
Tokusentire.
with that said, all of the other archetypes have had them be vastly different. They all had different
Right.
powers in set one, and in set or in Clash they had different keyword skills. So
Yeah, so I think the big thing, the awaken side is the same, and then you can pick a green Ginyu Force member and it gets 10k.
which
Decent
is
in
the
draft, but everything else in
Yeah,
draft
because if we look
about
at
this
the
leader in draft is not.
not
mhm.
that great, because if you look at the Force here, the boys,
These cards are good though.
they are.
Like admittedly, these are finally some good Ginyu. Like Raccoon free plays while being in active mode, and they're all threats. The biggest thing that was always holding Ginyu Force back, in my opinion, was the fact that they were always 10Ks. You couldn't deal damage to your opponent without sacrificing more card advantage,
Oh, once
which the
they
deck
awaken,
already
yeah.
wasn't building, right? But these all threaten damage. Every last one of them threatens damage,
I
which
like how Bana is like, we have this new keyword, we're just gonna put it all on the Ginyu Force.
Yeah.
It
it needed it though,
it
because like
probably
Otherwise, you can
did.
just
otherwise,
infinitely cycle it. Instead of a you can't play this name card, it's now unique. So, like legendary and magic, you can only have one copy of that name. So rather than always typing, and you can't play Bird or Fastest in the Universe every time, just yeah, having unique kind of clears it up a bit just by having it in big bold.
I do like how they all have a better version of the top field, because
somewhere
the
in there.
top got ruled that, and then they also went back and changed the trunks overrealm that
Yeah,
you can
Mhm.
you can put them you have to put them all on the top or all on the bottom. You can't just like pick which ones go where. These ones do because they say and or.
and or yeah,
And
which
or is like the best change this set, I think, with this and the Goku. Ooh,
Um,
an actual scrying effect.
yeah.
yeah, I think this archetype will see some testing and play. I do not think it is trash. I just don't think it can necessarily win, particularly because the boss monsters in Ginyu Backbone and Ginyu the Body Snatcher is a solid combo. However, it is still a 15k that you give to your opponent. If they have a good battle card, that Ginyu will be very powerful.
Yeah.
Right? If you can drop this card and like steal a black smoke or something, ugh, but
It
chances
really
are
hurts the Broly BR deck, the green one.
mhm,
You get the effect because
um,
he stole the card.
like particularly I believe that this deck will be low to the ground mid range. And so I think Ginyu's going to steal a lot of value based cards that maybe have more on play effects. Um, I just think it's really neat. I think green yellow for this deck would be great because you're a Frieza Force or Frieza Army leader, so you can use Cold Bloodlust. These guys, if you do a quick count of some numbers, 4, 2, 2, 2, 2, those look like even numbers. That with an arrival Broly, and you've got Celzino whenever you want.
Oh, not even a
Um,
rival Broly. You just like you get the Force out, like you said, you can get them all out turn 2.
mhm,
That's 12 right there with just the Force and they just combine Megazord style into Cell Xeno.
Celzino. Um, I think it's super solid. It This does feel like you can actually play all 4 of the Ginyu Force at 4, which by the way, using Frieza's Call or yeah, Frieza's
Yep.
Call to hit Birder is going to be one of the stupidest things I've ever
Oh yeah,
seen.
because he untaps or
He
switch to
untaps,
actives. Oh man.
and I think he's a blocker, isn't he?
Yep, he's a blocker.
Yep. Assuming you don't want to go heart of the cards and do like Raccoon first to find Birder and then swing first and then
No.
untap them.
Raccoon
But
plays out of your hand.
okay. Or well, it's
Jace, the
and then
yellow
it's just
Jace.
scrying. Oh, none of them actually play each other like the red ones. Yeah.
Yeah, only the green Raccoon plays another one, and that's out of hand.
Yep.
But the yellow Jace from set 1 does search top 3 for a Ginyu Force other than Ginyu and plays it. So I
That's
think
a
that's really
strong.
cool.
That's a strong argument for yellow,
Green,
but
yellow.
personally, I
Exactly.
think body change Ginyu is still better than this green Ginyu that switches control, because it does the same thing,
But
pretty
it costs
similarly.
free. Ginyu plays for free though. This green one plays for free.
Yep.
That's what's so strong.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
And it
You just
also
get all the
picks
force out.
any card, not just like 4 or less, like Body Change does. Body Change does
Right.
4 or less.
But body change does
body change is
10K.
one card for 10k. Yeah, one card for 10k, not red specific.
But no, Body
Ginyu
Change,
Force.
all the
But
Ginyu Force cards gain
when
10k.
you're on
Yeah, all Ginyu.
color, you might as well just play the
Yeah.
combo card though. The bonds. You can just combo with it for 1 and everybody gets 5k.
Yeah.
Which I would think is when green yellow I think shows a much stronger value to it. I think that would be the way to go.
Yeah, I think green yellow with this, it leads itself to be successor really well, like running um Topo, even could get away with some Super Saiyan 2 Gohan as like your
Oh
finisher.
yeah, that's what I had in my preliminary list because 8 is really easy,
Yeah, they're all even numbers.
Maybe you
and
could try
the
this.
green yellow arrives
Yeah,
are
maybe.
all.
I'm sorry.
No,
uh,
you go ahead.
I was gonna say maybe you could try these guys in the starter deck, and then run Topo and Cell because those aren't Saiyans.
Hmm.
Be pretty decent because they do hit the board pretty quick.
Interesting. Yeah, it's I think this is a really cool archetype. I don't know if it'll be great. It seems to have like a lot of 15k beaters, but not as fast as Demigra and Boo. But the cards they play maybe have better effects. Maybe the late game is slightly better especially if like we said we go into green yellow and then you get to run Jiro and you play the Goku into the drop area and you successor to Gohan and you just smack your opponent for 15 a bunch and then you go deal with this 30k dual triple.
Yeah, I think successor
Um,
might be the way to go with these guys, but we'll see.
so it's cool.
Um, rest
What's
of
It just
this,
next?
seems like a solid tier 2 deck, like B tier, like friendly games. Not something that you'd
You could
necessarily
bring to a
look to compete
local.
with. Yeah.
You could even possibly win a local with it.
yeah.
Um,
On to the rest of the set. These guys don't really fit anything besides just being Frieza Army. But one card I want to note, Blue Impulse is my favorite card.
oh,
In
I thought we were about to talk about Zarbon and his.
no, the cheeks, no. Blue Impulse, this card, the Surge
What
Coup
were they
Killer.
thinking? What were they thinking, dude?
Zarbon or Blue Impulse? What are we talking about?
Blue Impulse. Oh,
Both.
I mean both. But Impulse is so good. 2 energy, like this card could have
Even
not
yeah,
had the reducing, and it would still be nuts. But then it can get reduced, and it's just crazy. A 1 energy, all-encompassing board wipe just doesn't ignore barrier.
I really like like how we said blue, their like new identity in that set was putting cards to the bottom of the deck. I feel like the green right now is board wiping, which we
Hmm.
don't have that much for board wiping in Dragon Ball.
Nope, we've had Kami, and then recently with Invoker we're in this together. But generally,
And
board wipes.
negative star balls too,
It's
yeah.
it's usually been reserved for red with subtracting power with like Vegeta from Draft Box 4, or yeah, like the extra cards. We're in this together. Yeah, just the red extra cards that kind of like spot subtract power. Sometimes more than once, like the Kaioken Goku that coolers play.
Hmm.
I feel like
But I just like that the power shift is kind of going towards green, which now like specifically KOs the cards. I think that's really important because if they printed a whole nother set with like such strong subtracting power, that it's just it nullifies a lot of previous archetypes that could potentially become stronger.
Man, Grant's really pushing to get Ramp Gogeta.
I mean,
But so Bull Impulse, I don't think there's a ton to talk about. It's a really good bait. Um, Showing your opponent that you have it is scares them enough to not play cards. Notably, it stops counterplays, arrivals, counterattacks that are bodies. I just think it's a really strong card, and some decks that rely on it, right? There are decks that say, "I'm going to topo from turn 3 to 5," like um, very specific stall strategies, or Beerus is just saying, "I'm just going to do this over and over again," and you go, "Okay, board wipe."
right, it hurts
Yeah.
mid range a lot harder because of that. Where like hard control just can charge pass and maybe like toss in one counterplay on a turn, and it doesn't hurt them quite as bad because it removes one 15k body or something, or like a topo and another 15k body or something. So it's not quite as bad. Maybe like a leftover 5k Gohan if it's Surge Piccolo. You know,
Yeah,
it's.
I feel like in
Go
Surge
ahead.
Piccolo, I think Blue Impulse is gonna see some good, at least like sideboard. Like it just seems so good.
hmm
Board wiping
Yeah.
their all their stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely. And against Surge Piccolo, it's kind of like a
It's a
um,
check.
mind game. Yeah, just like, am I gonna pay one to get rid of one or two things that aren't necessarily the scary things or whatever?
Hmm.
I do think we will have to stop spending quite so much time on that ridiculous card, which is
It's
a
just so
common.
good. I'm
And
sorry.
I please make it a rare
Right.
next time.
And it's
Um.
So
blue,
my
but it's
card,
green. But it's
so
blue, but it's green.
I just want
uh.
my card to have value, and it's not going to have any value because it's still a common.
Yeah.
The
Um,
foil now might
Foil,
Foil.
yeah. Ooh,
that
wow.
might have value.
Yeah.
The
Ooh,
stamped especially. Who
Well, it also
there is
depends
no
on the
stamp.
SPRs.
No stamp.
If you
no
don't.
stamped?
There's no more pre-release.
Oh frick.
Yeah.
Yep.
Other cards to mention in here, we got Zarbon Super
Zarbon.
Combo, Frieza Army
No,
Super
no,
Combo,
no, no. Talk about the
the
talk about the
Dim Cheeks.
Zarbon.
I
The
need
other
a foil
Zarbon.
playset now.
The other Zarbon. Off-brand Kakunsa,
Yeah, counterattack, negate for 3 instead of 2.
but then they drop a card. It literally does everything Kakunsa does, but 1 energy to drop a card more. And then it's
Yeah.
a 3 drop, like, on board as opposed to a 4. I still think Kakunsa is better, because the difference between having to play with 2 energy open and 3 energy open, especially in green where there's not necessarily a lot of restand, is very important.
Yep.
Um, I just think this card is pretty good. It's still got Frieza's army, so it's searchable.
Yeah, but in a lot of new stuff, either has reduced cost or no cost at all. Like the Dark Death Ball, or just kind of the new stuff that's coming out, where it's like a if you do X ability instead of like the sparking negates where you take a life, it's like if you switch stuff to rest mode or you discard cards, you can do it for free, type of thing. Tapping out isn't quite as dangerous as it used to be. It's still tough, but
Mhm.
that makes the one extra required energy not quite as painful as it could have been before.
Yeah. I think it's really weird that they made Dodoria the pick up a life. I mean, I guess I get it because they wanted it to maybe go in the starter deck,
It's Frieza
but
Army. Because
yeah, it's
Saiyans already
searchable.
had Gohan, so
Yes, well, Saiyans have a lot. They have
yeah,
Gohan. They have
combo
everything,
Trunks.
and now they have Vegeta.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Dark Death Ball mentioned it's the cycle counterplay. This one your opponent it just pops a one. It's a
It's
what's the card from Clash of Fates? Counterplay.
preemptive strike.
Preemptive strike, but this one pops a 1 drop. Ooh. Uh,
Jake.
called out.
Don't look at the
uh,
chat. We're professionals.
Frieza
um,
Vanilla. I like it's a Frieza Army Vanilla. There was
yeah.
something I had back in the day in my head that like I needed more Frieza Army Vanillas. I have it now, but I gotta remember what that idea was because that was a long time ago. The Doria, great mono green support, but you have to have a Unison card, like how Grant said. If you don't have those Unisons, a lot of your cards are kind of poo poo.
They really are. Um,
Yeah, 2 or
I
less, but it just goes right to the drop and you play a card.
it's
Nice.
just It's just that it's a little slow because
Yeah,
like
because you need to invest energy in order to invest more energy.
and on
Which,
top of that, it's like a 2-drop. Like people aren't really playing 2-drops very much anymore. They're playing higher value cards for
Ah,
less.
yes, but that also counts.
Well, not necessarily. Yeah. So like this is good against like say Topo and Kakunsa, but I mean like you want to use this card on your opponent's turn. Like you don't want to, especially. It's not really something that you think about for these. But it is something to consider. It's a solid card, but I
I
think I'd rather just focus breakthrough basically every time.
I will say I do like this for against like the topo and stuff because you get another body on board. You can Bardock it. Uh, yeah, focus breakthrough is nice, but you have to be at 4 or less life. This one you don't. You just have to have the unison. So the early topo plays before the control deck and gets really big with energy. You can start taking advantage of that earlier turns now. That's my counter argument to that.
I could see that. Um,
We'll have to see though.
yeah,
but also just more things targeting battle cards in general is kind of a little bit of a bait as well, with some power shifting towards the unison cards themselves. Um, if you have all these answers for battle cards, but they see their unison card and revolve around that, then you're kind of stuck in a different way.
Yeah.
for
Uh,
sure.
all right. So next we have the little Frieza deck shenanigans Xeno support, which is weird.
So I just got shown most importantly. So yeah, this it doesn't do a lot. These cards are not individually that powerful. Like you can have a card that can for 3 can boost to be a double strike, or a card that is just a 15k double strike. But I think most importantly, the 2-drop and the 4-drop together are
Which
going
four
to
drop?
be Frieza Cosmic Horror,
All
the
right.
actual Frieza, not the
Yep.
Xenos. I think in Lemon Lime Frieza, where they're value based rather than hand control based, you can Frieza's Call Malicious Streak, kill Malicious Streak, restand the energy like a green energy or whatever, or green yellow if you're playing actual multicolor. Play this, pick up a life, draw a card, play this Frieza from your hand, the terrifying transformation, and then use that one green to put out a 20k dual attacker immediately that also has a put in play effect. This is also the third instance where it's marker removal from Unisons
And he can remove 3 markers from a card
because
because
it's
he,
when he no, it's when he plays.
yeah, when he plays,
Yeah,
and
but
then
he can attack it
he,
twice as
yeah,
well.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's
yeah.
crazy.
That's
That's
actually
so
like
much value.
your
And he's
opponent,
a 20k. He hits everything. He hits
yeah,
Vegito and Gogeta.
and they can't combo out, so they have to waste negates on that.
So
Which at that point in the game, like turn 2 of the game, your turn 1,
you can just wipe out
what
their
what is it that
Unison.
they can do to stop it? Like,
Exactly.
Mhm.
I think, yeah, the anti-unison Frieza deck. Ooh, anti-meta.
That's interesting. That is super interesting. Um, cool.
1 star ball, parasitic darkness. I think these dark Dragon Balls might see play. Depends on
Um,
more what happens.
I think a wish deck is coming.
Maybe we'll
Like it's
see.
possible.
well,
Um,
the teaser video mentioned the Shadow Dragons, so there's probably
That's
something.
not the same archetype.
yeah, these are
These are not
dark
the same
Dragon
Yeah,
at
you're
all.
Balls.
right. Yeah.
These aren't the Shadow Dragon Balls. These are Dark Dragon Balls from the Xeno
Okay.
Yeah,
gang.
Dan and I did some research the other day. 1 and 2 are Frieza and Cell. And
3
3 was Turles.
Turles in no 4 was Turles. 3
Yeah,
was
Janemba.
Boo.
Oh yeah, 3 was
Boo.
Boo. 4 was Turles because he matches Goku. 4 star ball.
5 is Janemba or Slug, and then 6 is Janemba or Slug, and then 7 is Broly.
Dark Broly.
Ooh, I want to see that secret rare.
Maybe. But with I how they described the set in their big announcement on the DBS card game site, they said this set focus on the 1 and 2 star Dragon Balls. So we get the 1 star ball here.
Sure.
Yellow might have some Yellow's supposed to be Dark Demon Saga and Shadow Dragons, it sounds like. No, black is Dark Demon Saga. Yellow is Shadow Dragons.
I presume they're gonna do Cell in yellow, right? Like they have to, because they putting him in red. That doesn't make any sense.
Red is Pilaf and Yamcha, which
Yeah.
is that's the 1 star.
I
I
think
don't
we'll get
know.
it in yellow. I think yellow. If they're gonna do that, I think they do it in yellow. And because I mean, then he can fit into the set 9.
Well, yellow's the Gotenks and the Shadow
Yeah.
Dragons. So it's gonna be
Oh man.
fusions and Shadow Dragons. I think he'll be in the black,
You think so?
maybe. But
I don't
that's
know,
like a
man.
whole nother discussion. Black is next week, so
Too
we'll
much
find out
speculation.
then. Yeah, too much speculations. One cool thing about the 1 star ball, you like this engine can kind of be put into the Schrader Dende deck because you can
Hmm.
now run multicolor in it with the green Frieza. You have a lot more green Friezas, like Frieza Cosmic Horror is a Frieza. You can't hit these Xeno targets, but you can with the 1 star ball.
Hmm.
You just like play your Clan of Terror, swing 1 star, use your 1 star ball for free because it's a 0 cost, and
And
then turn your
then
Clan of
throw
Terror
in
into like your Frieza
Dark
Dark.
Infestation.
Yeah, because it plays it in active mode.
Hmm. So I think it could be super valuable. But yeah, so like even beyond that, right? When we were talking about how the removal of Unisons, that could be 5 markers removed off of a 15K for
For
two
2
cards,
energy.
3 cards in hand, and 2 energy, 3
Yeah.
energy total.
Like, yeah, no, the fact that, I mean, Dark Infestation as well can kind of recur that effect. You just need the desires in hand to do it with Dende. That's really sick. You can wish out, yeah, the Clan of Terror, swing with it, then 1 star ball into Infestation, then do its active main to pop it, grab the ball back, and then instead of your free wish, you can tap 2 to do
It
that all
doesn't,
over again,
notably, it
right?
doesn't have Dragon Ball.
Yeah,
Right.
it's Dark Dragon Ball.
So you
So
can
Yeah.
run it.
Yep.
All right.
run that and your 7 regular balls or 1 star balls.
I think that's I think
That's all we got for that archetype. I think I kind of want to explore that Frieza Trader Dende stuff later, so we'll see. But
oh, the
the
generic
super
cards.
rares, which now we can confirm are a cycle, because
Yep.
they matched like directly with the
Blue.
Trunks super rare and the Trunks extra card that came out. So both are counterattacks that don't actually negate an attack, but can stop the attack. But this, Dane, you wanna talk about your dormant potential unleash here?
Yeah.
Your favorite card, probably, it sounds like, of green.
This card is nuts. Yeah. So it doesn't negate the attack, but it still puts a limit and says you have 2 attacks. And because if you have a Unison in play, right, then you can do it for free, literally just for free and 2 cards in your hand. Like that's actually insane. I think this card is going to become a cornerstone of the new Goku engine because turn 4, if you just go, okay, Goku, I tapped out, but here's Dormant, and then you just keep them down, right? It's so strong. Green has a floodgate effect like Nimbus and Topo, which is super important. Blue
It's
does
also
not.
better because it's just
Attacks.
only one more attack.
Hmm.
So even Unisons and Leader, like you only get one more attack.
It is just more restrictive because Nimbus could happen in anything.
Hmm.
Um,
It does stop dual attacks.
yeah, like
I'm cool
it's
with more
different
baby
what.
hate.
More baby hate, dude. Baby is so frustrating.
We just have a big hit
Anywho,
on Baby because one of our players is
I mean, I lost in
yeah.
store champs, but dude, in finals, yikes.
You lost because of it too.
Yeah, I literally told him to play it and like him edit the deck so it was more meta ready, and then I goofed myself.
Yep. Um,
Um,
so Dormant Potential Unleash, very good card. I think it's better.
think
It's better than the
yeah,
Trunks extra
which
card.
which is really interesting because they gave it this one has the better extra card, and then Trunks has the better counterplay.
Yeah, because this Frieza counterplay, same thing. You can play it for free.
Not
Uh,
using counterplay skills.
you can't play counterplay skills. Yep. So this is your one and done counterplay. If you have a green Unison, you can just discard 2. But the
No,
card
no, no,
has to have 2 more markers. Oh no, you just
no, no,
activate it.
no.
That's right. I'm
You
thinking
just activate it.
the rare.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then when he's played, KO something 7 or less.
Yeah. So it gets
Um,
through deflect, but not barrier.
gets through deflect, but not barrier. But I think it is almost strictly worse solely because of how. I mean, you can't like it lets you get all the on play effects. There are so many strong on play effects that matter, or things that are like reduced. Like this doesn't hit black smoke. Like
But
No.
it's worth it for the 10k body. You don't get the body with trunks.
no, you do not. And it
Yeah.
notably KOs as opposed to bounces to hand, so it's not a
Yes.
stall. It's like an actual removal.
Right.
It just kind of it depends on the meta and what cards are super relevant to see if it's actually worth it.
And then only
But
if there
this,
was like a
yeah,
way to abuse that Frieza name too, because it's there's no like evolve from a 5 cost Frieza,
yeah,
which would have
which
been cool. But
Well, there is, but I think it's yellow. The old Tournament of Power stuff, right?
yeah,
um,
yellow Universe 7
Yeah.
or just
oh
Universe
yeah,
7 Frieza.
Universe 7 Frieza.
Which this is not. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this card is still very powerful, and I think if you're playing the deck, you will just run it because I mean, at worst, it's playing a card out of your hand to kill something because you don't have to target the card that was played, right? So like in Surge Coup, if they're just gonna try to kill you that turn, they play Black Smoke. You go, okay, well, poop. But here's Frieza, blow up your cooler.
Yeah.
Um, like
I
there are options to it.
I
I
think
just don't think it's better than Trunks.
the fact it's a free removal is
It,
just
yeah,
so
it's
strong,
just
and
very
it hits 7 or less, not just like 4 or less or 3 or less. It hits
it
7 or
does.
less.
It's just really unfortunate that Trunks is kind of this catch-all card that says, "Oh, you have a secret rare? No. You have Fu Shrouded? No." Um,
But
and
like you
this
said,
reason,
that's
like,
stalling, and then this one gives a body. So there's like merits to both, but I feel like yeah, right. I think right now the Trunks is a little stronger.
hmm but these cards are both great. I think if you are making a green deck, especially with the way that green has been heading, I think you basically need to play 3 freezes at least, and maybe minimum 2 dormants. I mean, it's just kind of like yellow at that point, right? You're probably just going to switch from 4 shocking death ball to 3 death ball and 2 dormants.
I do like how starting with this set, that the super rares are more of the like kind of more staple cards than being like they're more generic.
Yeah, as opposed to set 1 through 4 cards that are all pennies because they were attached to archetypes that weren't even that great in their day.
Saiyan Elite Vegeta, so much
I mean,
plus
blessing
power.
and a curse, though, because now everyone wants these cards due to the nature of their rarity. This set is supposed to have increased rarity pulls, right? Like more
Yeah,
SRs or whatever.
Yeah,
so they cut out campaign rares, and
Thank God.
there's a box topper SR,
Yeah.
random SR. So from the sounds of it, I would guess 8 in a box of 24 packs, um, which is
yeah.
pretty solid if you're right if you're pulling, or maybe there's 6 and then there's the box topper, so it's 7. But
And if you hang out with people in a shop, you can one for one trade those SRs day one. And just
right,
complete what you're looking to do.
and they're color locked, so right, if someone is aware of what colors they like to play, they just go, okay, well, I myself am a big blue player. Day one, I'm looking for 4 to 8 trunks. Like, I'm buying a case, but if I wasn't doing that, then I would be kind of SOL, and I go, okay, well, I'm never going to play green.
Right.
I'm never going to play mono green in a tournament, so I might as well trade freezes to our local hand control player, and then all of a sudden they're feeling a little better.
Yeah,
Ugh.
so they're increasing the amount of super rares per box, and then there's more super rares in the set in total. But I think that's really nice with like these being so generic and being the Unison cards as the super rares, in that the value of the pack and box are more there. Like it's better going,
Yeah.
Mhm.
you're better off going sealed because your boss monsters are now just the rares, like we saw
Right.
with the Goku and then the Zamasu and the field card and stuff.
Especially now that they're not Shatterfoil anymore and you actually want to look at them.
Ooh,
The rares
yeah,
aren't even foil either, so it's like you don't even have to. Our buddy Vane can go full non-foil
non-colored.
almost.
Yeah.
Right.
Um,
And I really like that they're actually like giving monocolor support rather than saying they were going to with Assault of the Saiyans again by printing those was ISRs.
ISRs, yeah.
Yeah. So now the one that turned out to be like really viable, the Broly, set one Broly looks like it has a lot more going on for it.
Oh
With
yeah,
all these options.
if you tap out for your big Broly play and then you also have Dorman in hand, oh, because
Ugh.
you play Bardock in that deck now.
Yes, exactly.
So
Pop the
like,
Searcher Broly.
yep, and this is just, whew,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
looking
whew.
good. I think we can confirm too now. There's no like 110Ks monocolors anymore, like you were saying, Dane, last
Yeah,
video.
I think they're done because they want to give more value to every card. Blue is hurt by that the most because, right, they restand energy with negates and sensu bean, so maybe not having that extra combo power is kind of bad. But every other color will probably benefit from having just more 0.5Ks, because if you're playing green, which is notably history standing very energy inefficient, everything is like a tap out to do something, for your main combo piece, for your main turn. It's you tap out and then you just sit on all these 110Ks because you drew your pieces, rather than the individual small pieces. And now you just get a bunch of 0.5s.
It's very nice.
Bless.
One more reason to play monocolor as opposed to. I mean, I can't even tell you. The example I used last week was like the amount of times that you win or lose against Surge decks, particularly like Piccolo and Goku, where you combo, you put down as much of your hand as you can, you still have 6 cards in hand, and then your opponent does the same, and then they have 5 or 6 cards in hand, and then you win or lose. And it's like, what did I do with all these other cards? Like if these were all 0.5s, the victory was more guaranteed.
Or more defense too, yeah.
Um, Super cool.
I
Green
think
has got some more identity to it, but
And it just feels good to do what your deck wants to do. You know, being able to spend your energy in a way that advances your game plan in some way, rather
as
than
opposed to having to play
yeah,
passive.
yeah.
So
yeah, I think green in one more set might be there. Like it'll be the new red. Red used to be garbage and now red's like the best color. I think it's green's like almost there with like Kakunza and this Frieza and Dormant Potential. And some
like
of the
it's
other cards in the set
and
are like,
I think the Goku engine is being quite slept on,
yeah,
but
it just needs like we need to find
And now they have their own Saiyan Kaba, which really helps too with the Dodoria, giving the double strike, especially against the Unison cards being take 2 counters off with one swing.
oh
I also
yeah, I didn't
I
think about
just
that exactly.
I also just realized, you basically, yeah, if you run 4 of this dormant and then you run the Pride of the Saiyans Goku, I just realized that card can't be removed by any skills, not just your opponent's skills. So you can board wipe yourself and keep that Goku on board.
You know what
And
else? Green has
it
a lot
also
of one drop recursion for extra cards.
they do, yeah, with the Roshi from the Namekian Surge
And
to pay
Bulma's
1 and
mom.
get it back. Yep, Bulma's mom. There's also even just the card we talked about. What was it? The well, the one that we thought could grab the Dark Dragon Ball. That can also grab this because it's 1 or less extra card in cost. So that Frieza, if you KO it or whatever, if you run that engine, the Xeno Frieza, you can recur this extra card.
Yeah, this can be a lot of stall. Like, ooh.
I think it's super cool. It's very sad that the archetypes themselves might not see as much play as we intend. But the fact that Green's getting more good generic cards is really powerful.
It's joining the game that has existed for the last like 2 sets now.
Yeah.
There's hardly been any archetypal decks other than like small engines. You know, no pure like
True.
archetype. Well, yeah, but
I think Boo's kind of it, like, that
I
have
mean,
actually like won.
Well, not even Boo
yeah,
anymore. It's all the Universe 3 stuff at this point and
yeah.
Turtles.
Um,
So now it's just like a combination of engines and filler good stuff.
which it's an interesting meta. is less. It is somehow more and less varied.
Yeah.
Right.
The builds themselves might be more different because looking at two Surge Coup decks, they could be entirely different from each other, but they're still both Surge Coup that have the same basic game plan. Whereas you have something like Baby, which is maybe a more interesting game plan, but Baby lists don't look that different from each other. Maybe the amount of Beeruses they run or the amount of the recursion Baby, but those are the same. The blue yellow Zamasus don't look all that different.
Like Hachiak as well.
Cool stuff.
Demigra, kinda. It's just
The
kind of like
leader,
the stuff
yeah.
that works with their leader, and the cards that have if your leader is X, then you can do this. It's kind of like the reasons to play the deck are consistent, but they're not necessarily full archetypes.
Right.
I think it's time. I think it's good. The meta is getting interesting. Unison cards are really going to shake things up. Some of them in particular, I think, are going to really be helpful to stopping aggro, and others are just going to kind of get run over. Poor Zeno is just a 9k, but he also needs it because yikes.
Yeah.
I don't think I have too much more to say on this. I'm really excited. Maybe later this week we could try to put something together for some untapped games, whether that's just friendly or if we wanted to record them. I'm really excited to test out all the Goku stuff, and then I think Frieza and Dormant Potential in general are just going to really help green decks that haven't long standed needed it.
Agreed. Grant, you got anything last to say?
Um, I'm really excited to see the SPRs and secret rares. Mostly.
That's true.
I don't think they're going to be of the cards. I think maybe they'll be of the Unisons,
That's what I
That
was
could
thinking.
be.
There's
but
like
I
10.
think
If I had to guess, I mean, I was wrong last set. The SPRs were super combos, and I thought they'd be something. If I had to guess, my guess is that it would be the Trunks and Frieza counterplays that we see, the 5 costs. That's what I think that they will be.
oh, not SCR.
No, SPR.
SPR. Yeah.
Yeah, but also the secret rares. I'm really curious to see.
I could see the rares from each archetype getting an SPR treatment. That would be really cool. Like if we got the 5-drop Goku, the 9-drop Zamasu,
Oh, the boss guys, basically.
yeah, the boss cards.
Yeah.
Because it's really neat that they're like making it more accessible, but also when it's the main card of your deck, you really want it to be like really pretty and shiny. It's going to be on the board the most amount of times. When you put away your deck, it's probably going to be the card you put to the front.
What would it be in green though? It would just be
In green, it'd
the
be Goku.
Goku, but like, would there be two? Maybe oh, it'll be one battle card, one
Unison.
unison. That would make sense.
Like that'd be super cool. For blue, we would get Zamasu and like Zeno or something. Probably Zamasu and Gotenks. I don't know. There's 10 you said in total.
I think so. Last I looked.
10 SPRs. That could be really interesting. We'll have to wait and see. Bandai's
Yeah.
been really good with the reveals. I really like this pattern. The uncommons on Mondays,
Oh,
rares
Monday
on,
is leaders and unisons.
or yeah. So and then
But
Tuesday it's
we'll
common
see though,
uncommon.
because Black I don't think has a leader in the set, just in the starter. But
Just in the starter.
there'll probably be Black Unisons to reveal on Monday, and then common rares and supers.
Yeah, because they still have that expansion to reveal.
The starter?
Um,
Or which one?
not a starter, but the expansion with the Gotenks.
Oh no, we already got those.
Oh, we did? Oh,
Yeah, they've
never
already
mind.
been revealed. That's why they're doing blue, green, and black because red and yellow just got love.
Right, yeah.
Yep.
Which red and yellow do not need
Also,
love. They're so
interesting thing to
good.
point out, like these starter decks are for the whole block. So I wonder if they'll like sneak in a little support for the starter decks each set,
That would be my assumption, but I don't know how much they can because
like one or two cards, I guess.
well, so Vegito is really generic,
Yeah.
and then Frieza is super specific. Like
That
you
yeah,
have to play Frieza army.
that's true. That's like why?
So now they have to make the decision of how much support are they going to give it later on.
We gotta see how black's gonna turn out too, if they'll be specific or not. Because already black Unison cards won't have specific costs, so they're gonna be very loose.
Yeah, they won't be searchable. They'll probably if I think if they are searchable, they'll be searchable straight up by card name,
Yeah.
which is something I think if Bandai wants to forego rotation, I think they're gonna need to start doing that because this like play a Frieza with an energy cost of 5 out of your deck is really cool when there's one target, and then it does open the way for look at that, now we can play Final Showdown in another way, but also one of these days they're gonna goof up if they keep androids in green, and Cell is gonna poke his little head around the corner and say, "What's up?
Right.
Drop to 3, please."
I think a way to circumvent the specified cost of the black unison cards might, if all your energy is black type of stuff, like they've been doing with some of the
Like the
more recent black stuff that they've been making.
Or Black Leader Lock.
Yeah, that's it.
I could see that. I think if you looked at the picture, there was a permanent on the Unison card, but I just want to point back real quick to blue. If we're gonna speculate real quick on black, that they had the fusion from energy. I feel like black might have fusion from warp because it's supposed to be focused on the
Oh, that would be so
Trunks,
good.
the
Oh,
Xeno
that'd be so
Trunks and
good.
Xeno
that'd be
Vegeta.
super cool.
Yeah,
That would be super duper cool.
Because
see, though.
like that could help out like some Toa Mira stuff, maybe.
She is coming in there.
Don't talk about my lady like that.
Toa is the promo for the expansion pack. There's a little confirmation on the site. But yeah, that's just getting into too much speculation. But next week will be black. We'll try to be here same time on Friday, next Friday. I think. Do you guys want to just do some closing remarks?
Green is cool. They're getting there. Goku is going to be the coolest archetype, and that's like I think that is maybe one of my favorite archetypes from the set. And they put in Zamasu cards, dude. That's how good I'm feeling.
Yeah, I bet. Because if y'all remember this picture, look at Dane, him and his Zamasu.
What?
Look at that. And the little Zamasu plushie.
Maybe I have 5 Zamasu decks and 4 Zamasu mats. You can't prove anything.
You're right. Grant, closing remarks. I know I asked you that earlier, but
secondary closing remarks.
it's the Minnesota goodbye. This is like a thing.
Yeah.
We just don't leave. We keep.
Just remember to like, subscribe, and stay super.
No, no, we can't.
I know.
Grant. Oh, that's trademark.
Is
We're
it
demonetized now. Oh man.
Just bleep it out.
We're putting up a paywall. My thoughts are valuable.
That's what he says. So I'm Dom. North Star Ball. We're gonna call it a day here. Check out the
night. Take care of yourself.
Yep. Check out the YouTube channel. That's in the Twitch chat. Twitch underneath the video. Or just search.
Or if you're watching it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Hello. Good job. You made it.
Minnesota is the best region. All right. Have a good night, guys.